Part of last week's computer security conference was about healthcare security issues. This morning's guest is going to be talking about scrubbing, but it's not in the hospital. You'll learn more about it coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Holiday Inn West on the Waterway in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on last week's computer security conference, which was held here at the hotel, and we're visiting with the moderator of one of the panels, the healthcare panel, Zeke Creech, an attorney with Parker Poe, Adams, and Bernstein in Raleigh. Good morning, Zeke.
Good morning, Greg. I appreciate you
so much for
having me
coming
in here today and everything.
I appreciate you getting back down.
Absolutely.
Having been down here last Thursday and Friday, that's a little bit of a trip for folks in the Triangle.
Not too far. I would always come to see you, Greg.
Listen to that, Zeke. Wow, that is fantastic. Thank you.
It's a blessing to be here, without a doubt.
How was the conference last week? It was pretty well attended?
Absolutely. And this is the first year of the conference, and I think I'm already told that you have folks who are interested in coming next year.
Oh, yeah, a lot of folks.
Great.
I understood from Dr. Stamey, who was with us yesterday morning, saying that a lot of folks are signed up already for next April of 2008, to get back here for Computer Security Conference 2008.
I'll be here then, too.
Listen up, golly, even
right.
if you're in the crowd or moderating another one, or you may even be a panelist.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I may need to bone up on a couple things. We had some great panelists. I helped moderate the healthcare security panel. We had a lot of the chief information officers from the local hospitals.
Some area community hospitals. I
Absolutely.
saw that in Columbus County, the one up there.
That's right, and Loris
and Conway.
That's right. So
you really had some folks who were knowledgeable in their industry.
Yeah, very knowledgeable, and we had a good turnout, a lot of good questions, and I hope I threw in a couple good ones as well.
Listen up, that's great. That's great. I'm sure it was well. Of course, the great thing was it was a well-attended conference, and right here in sunny Myrtle Beach, you know, the weather depends day in and day out. But recently, it's been so beautiful. And last Thursday and Friday, y'all were blessed with some tremendous weather. Definitely,
and it's a great networking opportunity, of course, also, and it's tough. You know, it's tough work, but someone has to come to the beach. You know, so,
listen to that. And Parker, speaking of that, Parker Poe, Adams, and Bernstein has recently made a big presence here in Myrtle Beach. That's
right. As a matter of fact, I've been working out of the office there today, and of course some last week.
Right.
Mike Eisenrock helped open up this office for Parker Poe here in Myrtle Beach, and then Shep Guyton
who's of counsel.
That's right, become affiliated with the firm.
He's a superstar.
Right, and then Matt Norton, who certainly is one of the top real estate attorneys in eastern South Carolina, without a doubt, and probably in the southeast.
Right.
And has a great practice in Charleston and here.
And here in Myrtle Beach, yes.
That's right.
I know y'all have done a lot of work with some big companies, and the big grand opening at the Pine Lakes Country Club, when you all had the big celebration, you had a tremendous cadre of folks, business people from all over the community. Lots of folks driving in from, we talked about one of your panelists last week from Columbus County. You had people in from Columbus County that drove down to Myrtle Beach to welcome Parker Poe.
That's right, from Waccamaw Bank.
Waccamaw Bank,
that's
exactly.
Right, through Catherine Airwood, her brother's bank, and it's certainly great for Parker Poe to be in Myrtle Beach. So many great things going on here. And we're also in Columbia, we're in Spartanburg, we're in Raleigh, and in Charlotte.
And in Charlotte.
So that's right.
You probably have
and
more
in Charleston
all over.
Stated,
that's right, of course, yeah. So you're well represented in both the Tar Heel and the Palmetto State. But of course, the firm originated early on. Those two early names started out of the Charlotte area.
That's right. Parker Poe, the crux of Parker Poe certainly started in Charlotte, a large transactional practice up there, doing a lot of the business work for some of the large financial institutions and the like. And then that firm merged with Senator Sanford's former firm and the firm of Al Adams, Representative Al Adams, who was in the State House for a long time. He served with my father there, or vice versa, I should say, and Bill McCullough. And so they merged the Raleigh and Charlotte, those firms merged, but it kept the Parker Poe name, and of course now it's in South Carolina and growing a great deal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it'd be tough to be a firm based in Charlotte at any time and never expanded into South Carolina. So it was a perfect move for them, and it sounds like it's been great for the firm.
Well, the firm has definitely grown a great deal in South Carolina, which
Right.
is evidence of moving here to Myrtle Beach, and so certainly Myrtle Beach is
Expect only
growing.
good things to
That's
happen.
right.
That's right. You know, right behind us here, a $500 million park is opening next year, the Hard Rock Park, the first of its kind in the world. Of course, we've got the Market Common out on the former Air Force Base and all the RWO acquisitions and the big group Withers Preserve, another $500 million project opening up, as well as so many of the amazing. And of course, you're involved in real estate transactions a good bit, Zeke.
That's right. Involved in real estate, do some corporate work. I had done a real estate MBA at Carolina when I did at UNC Chapel Hill.
Oh, yeah,
Excuse me, I should say. When I did
down
my
here,
law
you know,
degree.
they're thinking of
That's
USC.
right.
That's
right. And got into the real estate field primarily. So I do transactional work on the real estate side. Do some corporate work as well.
Are you originally from the Carolinas, Zeke?
Originally from Raleigh, Greg. And
is that right? Raleigh, North Carolina.
That's right. That's right. And I know we're talking professionally today.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Of course, we go way
Oh,
back,
yeah,
Greg.
the Creech and Everett families a long time. Your father had hired my dad years ago.
Right, and Greg's been. I hope I can tell your viewers.
Oh,
Greg has
please.
undoubtedly been one of my best friends throughout my entire life, and feel very blessed to have been associated with Greg, and feel blessed to be here today. Greg even read in our wedding.
That's exactly right.
I have a wonderful wife, Bess,
You do.
and there's so many things to be thankful for, and I'm thankful for our relationship.
Well, we've been together a long time. Of course, the exciting thing is they're your parents and my folks very similar in that both of our fathers married much younger brides. Both of our parents, sets of parents, each have 3 sons, and of course
we're
and
2
I
days
share
apart,
something.
right?
You and I are 2 days apart, where we're both middle sons as well. So we've got a lot in common there. And of course, your father had been Senator Sam Ervin's chief counsel or general counsel, chief of staff.
That's right, for the Senate Subcommittee on Constitutional Rights.
Okay, on
That's
constitutional rights, and I hired Dad, my father, as an advisor to that subcommittee there, but your dad served a tremendous time there in Washington as well as worldwide.
That's right,
your
in the
dad's
Foreign
done
Service.
a lot of traveling.
In Iraq and in London. But I know we're very proud, certainly, of our parents, our fathers, our mothers, and of course your grandmother and grandfather.
Oh yeah, of course.
And so very.
That's right. It used to be Everett, Creech, and Craven at one time.
That's right.
Everett, Creech, and Craven, which was I guess at that time, my grandmother, grandfather, or at least the use of his name, as well as your father and Jim Craven.
That's right.
Another very interesting attorney from the Triangle. It's amazing. Those things go back, and of course, the law is so critical. As my grandmother used to talk about it, Zeke, she called the legal profession a good gentleman's education when she got her law degree in 1920. As the only woman, as you know, and of course we all know those stories, the only woman in her class, the only woman taking the bar exam that year in North Carolina, and the #1 score in the state. She really looked at it as a good basic education, kind of like taking Latin. You know, just something that everyone needed. Of course, not everyone could be attorneys, and you've been blessed. And it is amazing when you think about what all you're able to do with that education. But not only did you get a law degree, you also got a master's in economics from the London School of Economics, as well as a master's of business administration from UNC Chapel Hill. What was that like, Zeke, getting your JD and your MBA?
Well, it was certainly tough.
At Chapel Hill, very tough.
One reason I took on both is because I thought it would be a great skill set for one's entire life, you know, and on the business side, I had worked some in banking in southeastern North Carolina, including in Wilmington, and I wanted to kind of continue that finance interest, but also gain some of the skills that I did not have, and so I could marry that with the legal work that I do for businesses and for small and large.
Do you think you got that in business school? Did it help open the doors, the entrepreneurial bent there? Was that exciting, and did you get it?
Well, of course, you're an entrepreneur, Greg.
No. I'm just, we're just, did business school help?
It exposes you to, of course, what some of the things, you know, you're on the cutting edge of certain discussions, like computer security, like we were able to discuss last week, and also helps you kind of internalize and think about your management skills. It's a great network, and of course it gives you a lot of the key accounting, finance, marketing type skills that you're not able to hone so well just out on your own.
Sure, very good point. And of course, a lot of folks, they would spend 3 years getting their law degree, 2 years getting their MBA. By doing them together, you were able to accomplish both in 4 years.
That's right.
Which is tremendous.
Well, like I said, I feel very blessed about that, and have plenty of education. Of course, Greg and I were in school at Wake Forest together.
That's right, absolutely.
And,
our time at Wake Forest, you were the school president, the Wake Forest student body president, which is a pretty big deal, and that's opened some great doors. You know, just the other day I was reading about a friend of yours, or someone I didn't know well, but his father has announced that he's running for, is it governor of North Carolina?
That's right. That's right.
Jewel Smith there?
That's right. That's right. Fred Smith.
Fred Smith.
That's right. Senator Fred Smith.
Very exciting.
That's
Senator Fred Smith has just announced. I read a piece about him in the Triangle Business Journal recently. Very exciting.
A lot of politics. A lot of politics going on, surely, here in South Carolina, and definitely in North Carolina.
A lot here along the Grand Strand and in the PD, and our viewers in southeastern North Carolina, of course, which you and your family have deep ties to southeastern North Carolina through your father there in Johnston County. But, of course, our real focus is on computer security. The panel last week, when you think about healthcare and computer security, there's a lot that really happens in that field. And, of course, HIPAA, a big deal. A lot of things must overlap with HIPAA, and I'm sure these professionals, medical professionals, what are some of the things, as you were studying to prepare to be the moderator for that panel, that you came across, Zeke?
Well, several different things. First of all, because I don't work in the healthcare field, I wanted to read up a little bit, and I took a look at some of the questions that they were going to be posing.
Right.
But I think some of these issues are issues that folks face in their daily lives, and people want to know, what's going to happen if their medical information is put online. Right. Those types of issues. So those are just some of the questions that we talked about, and some of the questions that I thought other people would want to
absolutely
know as they're kind of faced with those on the street. And of course, the chief information officers of the hospitals,
those 3 big hospitals,
are faced with those all the time. One other thing I came across as I was thinking about things had to do actually more with the legal profession and so-called scrubbing documents that are being sent out by attorneys that have some of the prior versions of documents in them. I don't know if I can explain it the exact way, but you have a document, and then you have a new draft, and the question is, how do you clean that document before sending it to an opposing side or someone else of that data, so that they're not able to use it? And so there have been interesting issues that affect us, of course, in our personal lives regarding healthcare security, and certainly the work that the folks do in the hospitals, and we talked about that. And also from my standpoint, I was interested to come across some of these issues.
Oh yeah, you talked about one as you were preparing to moderate that panel, Zeke. I know you mentioned you'd come across some metadata issues that attorneys face or that their clients face, and you really people need to think about what is included on the back end, on the source code when you're sending stuff out. Oftentimes people put in creative terms to try to get more traffic, higher search engine rankings, and those are real issues. Can you utilize those? People can't see them, but they're on your website. Can you actually use them to generate higher results?
Well, I don't know if I can fully answer your question.
No, I understand, sure.
But one thing I would say, and you can re-ask me the question, I think, but with respect to that type of data, what the article I read said, and of course I encourage folks to read
go out and
article,
search on their own.
That's right. Is that in terms of if you send a document to someone else, in this case an opposing counsel, that attorney must, if it's wrongly sent to you, you must notify the person to whom
you're sending it out.
Who sent it out, but at the same time, that does not mean that the individual who received it cannot look at it.
Is that right?
That's right. You have a duty to notify, but that doesn't mean that you cannot look at it. And there are also, and there's some strong overtones about obligations of law firms to put in practices that scrub this metadata, that clean the data before it goes out. And of course, in our law firm, we have
is definitely doing that.
We've got those set up.
Sure.
Of course, it means it probably takes an extra minute or something to send out the document, but of course, it's worth the time to do that. The only final, I think there was one other thing I was going to mention on that, is that
I noticed recently, not to cut you off, but as you're thinking, you're getting that thought through, that someone had sent off. That someone had accidentally replied to all, and something they had meant to only reply to one. When they reply to all some of their communication that they didn't intend to get out got out. Of course, as you say, it's so critical to monitor what you're sending out, if there's ways to scrub, and of course that you scrub tied in very well with the healthcare panel, since they're obviously doing a lot of scrubbing, but that term scrub it's critical to make sure you clean the slate. Right,
and I think the final piece I was going to mention relates to, of course, looking at there are things, even if the document is scrubbed, of course, or cleaned, you can sometimes perhaps go in and look at the properties. You can see, and one of the attorneys who was quoted in the article I mentioned stated that you can look who drafted it, when it was drafted. Sometimes there may be things that still not scrubbable. I don't know that for a fact, but I'll have to look into that.
Again, a great reason for viewers to go out and take a look at stuff, go online, do research on. They could probably even type in scrub and legal documents, for instance, do a search for that. Zeke, what was that like getting your master's in, did you actually get a master's in economics there?
It was a master's in comparative politics.
Okay, but it was at the London School of Economics.
It was at London School of Economics. Of course, Greg and I, we graduated from Wake Forest in 1993 and played some intramural basketball together.
Yeah, that's right. You were much better than I.
Trips. Greg even went on spring break.
We went to the Bahamas together. That was dangerous,
and to Boston once.
That's right, the head of the Charles.
And Greg's been so good to me. But after that, of course, spent a couple years in banking, and then looked at going to the London School of Economics really as a precursor to doing the law and business degree.
Okay, sure.
I studied 2/5 in international relations and 3/5 in economic and political transitions to capitalism and democracy.
Oh, come on.
Right. So that's.
I can even remember that.
Right. So, but it was a broad education. In that last portion, you're looking at these transitions to capitalism and democracy, and kind of the question is, what comes first, democracy or capitalism? Those types of things, and of course those issues continue to play out in things that we see all over the world. You look at places that have authoritarian rule and how they develop in those types of issues. And of course on the international relations side, it was more of an international business course, which was good. I was able to intern at the American Chamber of Commerce while I was there.
Really? I didn't know that. While you were in London?
That's right, and do some other traveling.
That's tremendous.
You should have come to see me.
I know. I should have been over there. Well, of course, and your bride, you and your bride, Bess, actually met while you were working in Washington. Was that while you were working with Congressman Etheridge?
That's right. And I like I said, I feel, you spoke of government and politics, of course.
Sure.
And I've been to Washington numerous times, including to see your father preside as Chief Judge of the Court of Military Appeals.
And to argue cases in the U.S. Supreme Court.
That's right. And so, but I worked, when I came back from London, I worked on the campaign of Bob Etheridge, who is familiar certainly to a lot of viewers in southeastern North Carolina, and perhaps even in South Carolina also. And he was a former superintendent of schools. I worked on his campaign. He was elected to Congress and then worked up there for him. And I really did. I was excited to work for him. He's a very fine person and has a lot of rural roots, but and a very forward-thinking outlook. And he kind of combines all that. He has a wonderful family. Of course, his children and son-in-law are very good friends.
Buddy of mine. That's exactly right. Who is with the firm that Kelly Carson will be with us on Thursday. Is with Wamba Carlisle, Sandridge and Rice.
Exactly. Yes. And so I was able to. The congressman, Congressman-elect invited me to go work for him in Washington. Worked up there for about 3 years, and that is where I met my bride. And she was working in marketing for a publication up there, and ultimately when I came back to grad school, she had started with the SAS
out of Cary.
That's
of course.
right.
And tremendous company.
Doing a lot of computer security issues.
Oh yeah, big deal.
And then she moved down to North Carolina as well. In fact, she's in Washington today.
Is that right? Here on this Tuesday morning.
That's
amazing. She is into so much, and SAS is expanding so well. It's incredible when you think about everything they do as a company. Computer security is definitely the forefront for them.
It is, and so as I stated, I feel very blessed that the way that we met, it was wonderful, and then being able to start graduate school. She was starting with SAS up there, and then able to move down, and so we were there.
Very fortuitous. That's right. And your brothers, are they in the Triangle as well?
My brother Charles
are still there.
My brother Charles has his insurance company, synergyinsurance.net.
Synergy.
That's right. He does workers'
okay.
compensation work, and he's your brother Luke's age. Luke and
That's right.
Sherry's,
That's
your
right.
sister-in-law's
Luke and-
age a
that's right.
bit. And then my brother Larry's in Hickory. He and his wife Stephanie and their 3 children.
Wow.
Chase, Zeke, and Lily are in Hickory, North Carolina, and Larry works throughout the Southeast for a company called Gorell. Does a lot of very energy efficient glass work. Really,
Is
what
that
they do.
right?
And of course, he and your brother Rob and
Or
your
about the
sister-in-law
same-
Elizabeth.
And
about-
Elizabeth, that's exactly right. And you know, Rob and Elizabeth had their second child last Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m.
Oh, that is
baby
wonderful.
girl. I've got a niece now as of last Wednesday at 4, which is very exciting.
That is exciting.
I'm
No
so
doubt
excited
about
to
it.
bring her into the world. Born 9 pounds 4 ounces. Yeah.
My goodness.
Big
Well, that
girl,
is.
yeah.
Maybe she'll be as tall as the rest of them.
That's right. She might even be taller than Rob and Elizabeth,
Right.
probably than Rob. And of course, you know Rob and Luke now, my older and younger brothers, and one of my sister-in-laws, Sherry,
That's right.
are all now second-year law students at your alma mater,
That's right.
Chapel Hill.
That's
UNC
right.
Law School.
Where the law school library, of course, has a lot of affiliations with your grandmother. The law library named for your grandmother.
That's right.
And your father's the institute, the military.
The
and
Center on Law, Ethics, and National Security.
That's right.
yes.
Scott Silliman was our professor who came out of that institute and is there at UNC and at Duke.
He teaches at Duke and UNC,
And
Professor
so
Silliman.
we're able to take some military law course, which
Oh, yeah,
national
National
security law.
Yeah, and of course they had their annual conference last Wednesday and Thursday up at the Washington Duke Inn.
And you're on that board, right?
I'm on the board there, a tremendous group. And tomorrow, John Kibler will be with us, and we hope to get him back on Friday as well, talking about some real serious computer security issues. He is, interestingly, Zeke, a certified ethical hacker. And whenever you use that word ethical, of course, we think about the Center on Law, Ethics, and National Security. And of course, ethics really become an issue. And of course, in law firms, you guys are faced with ethical issues all the time, aren't you?
We are. You know, you're faced with how you talk with other individuals. Of course, you cannot. You're charged not to speak
Yeah.
with other folks who have attorneys themselves. You need
Right.
to speak with their attorney.
Right.
Of course, we talk about these metadata issues, scrubbing
Right.
documents,
Right.
and you in a litigious environment and in these complex transactions,
Right.
you certainly try to keep your wits about you. You
Oh,
try
yeah.
to be, and you are as efficient and as forthright as you can be. But when you're moving along at these fast paces,
Right.
it's important to represent your client's best interests. And part of that, though, is to not only be as ethical as you're obligated to be
Right.
and as you can be, but also to bring about a measure of collegiality that helps pull a transaction along and get it finished. You know,
That's a very good point.
And,
Yeah, both convenience as well as ethical and collegiality.
That's
You
right.
really want to speed things up oftentimes on behalf of your client, but you don't want to go so fast that it causes problems.
That's right. So
Very serious stuff out there, Zeke. You know, as you think back, as you made that determination, I know you went out to Colorado for a while, worked with a firm out there doing some or actually worked with a company out
worked
there.
for an environmental real estate company out
Right.
there. Went south, unfortunately, about starting the first day I got out there. So
you had
did
the
that.
opportunity to come back to the Triangle. You could have been with any firms. Was there anything about Parker, Poe, Adams, and Bernstein in this last minute that really brought you in, Zeke?
Well, Parker Poe, and of course you can go to the website parkerpoe.com. Parker
Right.
Poe, the people there had first of all, it was a very sophisticated practice, but it also had a history of involvement in the community. The folks who are certainly the lead partners in the firm are active out there, and so that's important. You're going to be working very hard, but it's important to keep that balance so you keep your marriage going,
Right.
you contribute to the community, and you build your profession. And so I feel very blessed to be there, and of course I feel blessed to be here today.
Thanks again for being with us
Greg,
this morning.
thank you so
Zeke.
much. Yeah, good to see
Absolutely.
you.
Thanks for last week's service at the conference.
You're
You were
welcome.
tremendous.
Well,
Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Zeke Creech coming up next. You know, think about that. You've got critical issues like health care, computer security issues. These are real issues. You've got chief information officers for area hospitals, whether it's the Loras Healthcare System or Conway Medical Center or the Columbus Regional Medical Center. Real issues that are impacting lives. You think of phrases like HIPAA. What is that? these are critical issues that many folks are faced with. You heard Zeke talk about scrubbing. Who did the Computer Security Conference turn to? They turned to a tremendous firm like Parker Poe, Adams and Bernstein. One of its associates out of Raleigh was willing to come down and be here at this conference to make a difference. You heard Zeke talking about Parker Poe, that firm. You can visit parkerpoe.com, but you heard him share those basics of a firm that's committed to not only making sure the firm runs well, but committed to making sure its associates and partners are making a difference in the community, giving back. That's exactly what Zeke was doing last week. That's what we all want to do every day.